Hi, everybody. This is Allison from AllyKat Creations. How are you? Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you feel so inclined to do so. And if you get anything from my work at Connect the Dot, an Epiphany, and Mind Explosion, a new book to read, a new author to explore, please consider supporting my work. All the links are at the bottom of the description. And another way you could support me is AllyKat211.com is my website where you can see my portfolio, where you see paintings, pyramids. I did not add the paint and sip stuff, but we'll get there. All types of fun stuff is on my website. It's Hi Odin. Odin's on my printer. Um, Hang on. Sorry about that. I've been watching Odin. He's not doing 100%. I don't know what's wrong with him. Um, Eating, going to the bathroom, fine, but just very depressed or something's wrong. So just watching him very closely. He's now somewhere down there. Um, Another way you can help me out is become a channel member. One of the perks of being a member is this month you're getting a free entry into winning this pyramid, $100 value. So all the information on how to enter the raffle is in my community tab. Telling you, explaining how to win this beautiful baby, and it will be drawn January 3rd on my Friday Night Live, so don't miss out on that. And channel memberships will have perks incoming. I am doing video paint and sips. I'm doing craft lives, and a lot of that stuff will be up for grabs. So consider supporting me that way. But otherwise, the law of one, my insights on. I have to say that because, yeah, tobacco people. So this is book 4, session 84, April 14th, 1982. There's a lot going on about energy transfer, and I'm going to do my best. A lot of this is quoted from Ra because he just says it a lot better than I do. Later on, we're going to touch on dreams. Um, so I'm just going to give you guys my insight on it. How's that? So Ra quotes, "The awareness of all as creator is that which opens the green energy center, the heart chakra. Thusly, there was no possibility of blockage due to the sure knowledge of each by each that each was creator," end quote. And I want to say this is probably in reference to prevailing, meaning the veil of forgetting dropped on us, but prior to it dropping, third density did exist as a no veil being dropped. And entities knew that all were a part of creator and all thus is creator, the one infinite creator. What is interesting about this pre-veil concept and that one statement I just quoted from him, the experiment of us having a veil dropped of forgetting actually aids us better in understanding and coming to that at one minute on our own time and in our own awareness. And it might take multiple lifetimes to do so. This time of now, the great remembering, the great awakening, we are now becoming aware as a humanity that we are all one and that we all are creator, individuated. And without this veiling, the possibilities of us being aware of this is something that each person needs to work on in themselves. It also goes a little deeper into polarization when you forget where you came from and what is you as a totality. The journey is much more sweeter, as much as we don't like to admit to it. It's a way sweeter process to have to unfold your own self. It's not just third density self-identification and identifying self in the mirror and, oh, so that's me. It's now finding the upper third going into fourth. It's finding your other selves and other people. All people have God running through them and acknowledging that fact. If we didn't have the veil, we would have already known all of this and just living different types of experience. But the grand experiment needed us to pick a polarity, which is positive or negative, black or white, light or darkness. There's no wrong in that choice either. It's the experience that source wants to have through you. You get to have, your soul gets a choice. And I find it very interesting reading through the rest of this stuff, how that unfolds. But this is like the big couple of sessions that it's tackling the pre-veil and veil. And some of us have come in not having a full veil down for certain things and aspects and components of our life. We have a remembrance. There's a reason for it. So in the course of the reading, the last couple of sessions, they're also talking about third density energy transference with the veil and not veil, and with the coitus that two people do intertake in third density. So this is being explored a little bit, and I picked this one out because of the question. So the questioner asks about electric circuitry within two beings in the course of sexual intercourse. Also asking Ra about blockages in the chakras. Ra responds that through two bodies, the red chakra to the orange ray, if no blockages, the electric circuit goes all the way up when it comes to energy transfer. Voltage is mentioned in a lot of this. Ra says the lower uncrystallized centers don't deliver higher voltage. Crystallized centers become high voltage characteristics of energy transfer as it obtains green ray. Ra says that the green ray is crystallized as it applies to higher energy centers. I'm going to pause here because there's a huge quote and I don't want to get people lost here. So think about two people making love. If those two beings are very in tune with each other, when one is interacting with another's electrical field and vice versa, you got two electromagnetic fields enmeshed with each other. If your energy centers, your chakras, are not blocked, the energy exchange through the circuitry and the electrical impulses throughout your body is heightened at that time, not just for your own self-pleasure, but you also are affecting the other person, them, you, them. The energy, this is my problem when I hold a lot of electricity in my body and I need different ways to ground it. The energy moves through each of your chakras, and the heart is where a lot of the energy is pulsating from. So if it is no blockages on both ends, both people are going to experience like tantric style funness. I'm trying to be kid-friendly language here. Not easy to achieve such things, but if you can control it and you can potentially heal another's energy, and if they have blockages, you can help them sort of. It's a process, but it's something to explore further when you are understanding the chakra system and your electric circuits in your body and how it affects other people, and how you're putting your energy out, your intentions towards the other person. Because if it's not through love and it's through something else, there are blockages in your chakras for sure. And your electric circuits aren't not being connected properly. And that could affect another person. So here's a quote from Ra, another one. Quote, "It was the intention of the original Logi that entities mate with one another in any fashion which caused a greater polarization. It was determined after observation of the process of many logi that polarization increased many-fold if the mating were not indiscriminate. Consequent, logi thusly preserved a bias towards the mated relationship, which is more characteristic of more disciplined personalities of what you may call higher densities. The free will of each entity, however, was always paramount, and a bias only could be offered." End quote. So this can be is said to equivalent one night stand to somebody that you fall in love with and you're making love with and not just fucking. Which does make a difference. You know, as children don't understand, they're just going and getting and gaining experience, and some people are holding themselves in abstinence. There is a humongous energy exchange, and you really need to be mindful who you're exchanging your energy with in such a way. Not just for procreational sake, but energy exchange sake, because you could take on someone else's energy, especially if you're an empath, and if it's not of pure intention. I don't want to go too far deep into that hole of abyss. Don't want to do it. And the reason being is that everybody is on their own adventure journey in this world, and it all comes with catalysts and experiences that regardless you still need. And so when you're in the awareness that you should behave yourself and conduct yourself in a mature manner, the proper energy exchange will be made. But like one night stands and things of that nature, you could pick up some dirty energy fields and auric fields, and you don't necessarily want that because most people are not even aware of such things. Anywho, session 85, it was a shorter section for me to pick things out of. This one as well. This is going to be probably a short video. But session 85, April 26th, 1982. Another quote from Ra: "The polarization process as it enters fourth density is one which occurs with full knowledge of the veiling process, which has taken place in third density." And quote, "The knowledge and memory of the outcome of this and portions of the third density experience informs the higher density polarized entity." There is some truth to this. I think that it's going to unfold a different way, because this has been written in 1982, and a lot of time dilations and distortions in time, space, time, in both linear and galactically speaking, have occurred. Um, like I've said in other videos, I have 28,628, something like that, lives that my fractals and my consciousness have lived. Do I need to remember every one of them to have a significant impact or polarization to choose from? No. I don't need to know about my caveman experience getting burnt in a fire, right? That doesn't serve me anything. Whereas there might be a life concurrently happening that's in another dimensional space I am living, that I do something stupid and I can go back and heal it with love instead of fear. I could do that, but I don't need to know every one of my lives. It's not necessary to know that I was the wind. I already am aware of those things. It's what shifts me to the light or to the darkness that does matter. And if you can imagine people who are not in any sort of spiritual awareness getting snapshots all out of nowhere about a past life or a connection that they've had, and all of the lives start flooding in all at once, you would humanly combust. So I do believe that the veil is thinning, meaning you're going to have experiences with the lives that were necessary for your polarization and choices. I don't believe every single life that you have ever lived is going to be a veil appearing for you to look into the scrying bowl and go, oh, because it's too much information, even in this vehicle. If you lose the vehicle, you lose your shell and you ascend or transcend energy, and you all of a sudden have a bigger expanded consciousness. If that happens, that's pretty cool. But at that point, it doesn't matter. You're not holding in materiality and you're not in densified matter. So all of that information probably is useful to some extent, but I feel when we are talking here about the veiling process and what we don't remember, I think it's going to come on slowly for most of us in this lifetime. And then greater portions of it will be veiled in higher densities for you to discover more about it. I honestly don't think if you got every lifetime at one shot, you would understand or comprehend any of it. Um, it's too much information for this little tiny brain and noggin for you to take in. So the next few things I'm gonna say here, Ra makes a little bit of an error, but I'm gonna read it as it is because it makes sense to me. Quote, those which have chosen the service to others, also self, path, have simply used the veiling process in order to potentiate that which is not. This is an entirely acceptable method of self-knowledge of and by the creator. Ra reminds us we need to, I wrote this crazy, hang on. We need to be aware of the density we desire to move. The third density lesson is of love. So within the density, there's the octaves and dimensional octaves, and there's a lot of overlays that is happening. And we really need to come into the choice and desire to move in the love frequency. That's going to help us. As for a wanderer, there exists overlays since the veil hath forgotten. See, that's why a lot of us are wanderers. Have forgotten lessons on other densities may bleed into this one. And I believe that's what's happening to a lot of us. I don't necessarily believe wanderers are also starseeds. Starseeds can be wanderers and vice versa. But when I went into my trance to close the Stargate, I saw the overlays of different densities and dimensional spaces overlaying on top of each other. And most of us have forgotten the fuller picture. And we're starting to clear a lot of this purge energy that's happening with us right now. A lot of us are getting snapshots, not quite being aware of where to put it, or emotional states are coming up. Or like, wait a second, I've been fine all day. Why all of a sudden this? And the empaths most of us are like, wait, that's not me. That doesn't belong to me, but it might belong to you. It's just not this life, this consciousness. You might be healing something you're not even aware of because you forgot that you're existing somewhere else and you're doing the healing through this vehicle. It's complicated, but there's a lot of people out there who are having the conundrum of, wait a second, I feel this way. I don't know why. Can't place it to anybody else outside of me that might be projecting it onto me, or I'm absorbing it from others. Whatever the feeling might be. And a lot of people are questioning, like, what the fuck is this? And then you're meant to go into shadow work or go into yourself to do the deeper why questions, and the why questions are not being answered. It's just something you need to feel and let go. Due to the veiling, no facets of the creator were known to our minds, mostly buried within the veil. Pre-veil, all of the facets of the creator was consciously known by entities. The veil helped with the dream state. When the dream is made available to the conscious mind, then use that process aids in one's polarization. So a lot of this has to do with the next session is dreams. I found a lot of the information very important. But in the sessions itself, Carla, the one who's channeling, is dealing with a fifth density entity that's polarized negative, trying to affect the polarization of the group. And polarization is just the tick-tock back and forth to positive and negative. Most of us incarnated positively to come here to transmute the negative energy. The idea of the veil dropping is for us to understand that we are creator, we are one with all things, that we're on a stage and we're playing a role that God gave us, or whatever you want to call the one infinite creator, the all that is, the monad, the pleroma, whatever. The name doesn't necessarily matter. It's the intention and will that you put into it that matters. Session 86, May 4th, 1982. The questioner asked Ra to further understand dreams when it comes to polarization. Ra replies that dreaming is an activity of communication through the veil of our unconscious mind and conscious mind. Such activity is dependent upon energy centers, activations, blockages, crystallizations of any given mind-body-spirit complex. When the energy of the lower centers have blockages, dreaming will have value in polarization, and that a repetition of those portions catalyze amongst deeper held blockages gives the waking mind sort of clues to the nature of such blockage. The clues are hints possible changes in perception to which may aid in unblocking. So Ra goes in a lot about there are different types of dream states and dreams in general. He's giving a very generalized term on dreams. In that case, when you have blockages within your energy system, whatever ray that your blockage is in, you're going to have dreams based on those blockages. So if you have fears of things, if you have hesitancy in certain areas of your life, wherever that falls in your chakra system, it's going to repeat. And your imagination and creative brain is going to create scenarios for you to work it out in your dream state. Dreaming is a very helpful tool, depending on what type of dream it is, to heal. That's why you become paralyzed and you go into REM sleep, because the frequencies and the waves of your brain are focused on certain tasks that it needs to perform within your unconscious mind. So if you have been battling a hard day and you're not recapitulating your day before you go to sleep, a lot of that stuff is going to play itself out in dreams. Some people get prophetic dreams. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Not all dreams are meant to be remembered. Some of them are just you healing. And vivid dreams, and just my estimation and perception, is that you're remembering what you're doing in your other self when you're out of your body. Most people don't remember their dreams. They're not in their bodies. You're in your higher self is floating out in the ether doing fun shit. Or many of us have been on missions for a very long time, holding a light grid or making the construct of 4, 5, and 6 become manifest in materiality. So there's a lot that can be said about dreams. Ra is just generalizing with these statements, so just be mindful with that. Ra suggests if one remembers dreams to ponder the content in emotive resonance of said dreams. So that is really looking when you wake up, like, how are you feeling? Are you waking up distressed? Are you waking up sweaty? Are you waking up with scratches? Are you waking up like elated? How are you waking up in the morning? He does suggest to have a dream journal. If you do remember your dreams, write as many details as you can remember as possible. That's not only going to help you with stuff that is repeating itself because you haven't really done the healing on it in your sleep state. You might need to address it in your conscious state. I know I talked about this yesterday on my live, that if you're dreaming or fixated onto something and it keeps popping up in your dreams, it could be a reoccurring dream of a past self or a concurrent life self in another dimensional space that just keeps repeating and repeating and repeating, and you'll start to get little minor details to bigger details as it unfolds. A big way for you to recall your dreams is to tell yourself, I'm going to remember this. A lot of our past in physical form loved ones also come to us through dreams. Our higher selves comes to us through dreams. And these states are very, very small because you're only really in REM for a little bit, and then your brain waves shift. So as much as you could possibly recall, it's a very helpful tool to have a journal next to your bed or wherever you are sleeping. And that also includes naps. I know people do that while they nap. A lot of people go off into la la land with dreams while they're napping. As much as you might not hit the REM state, you might hit a state of in between worlds. So always have something to write down, some information, because it will help you in your healing process. And then understanding more about yourself and what's going on in the subconscious. So for those whose heart chakra, the green ray energy centers, are activated, also with blockage due to catalysts like grief, being one dreams can take on precognition or knowing to what potentially can occur in physical manifestation. So in this section, I'm going to quote after, Ra and the questioner were discussing people who have not just vivid dreams, but prophetic dreams, who see things before they happen. Now, your unconscious, subconscious, your higher self is working succinctly sometimes, not all the time, and you'll get visions in your sleep to things that may potentially come. That doesn't mean it's going to happen. It's a potentiality, just like anybody who says, predictions. It's a potentiality in time space. So you get to choose the timeline you jump on is what you experience. And not all the things that people dream of, that some of it is prophetic and has come to pass, and other things not so much. So just be mindful that, like Edgar Casey, a lot of his stuff is pretty spot on, but not everything. And that's just my opinion. But it's one to really ponder. I know I've had the knowing and the precog stuff pop up in my wheelhouse throughout my entire life. And a lot of that did come through dreams or snapshots. Little minute things came true, other stuff did not. It's all based on what timeline you're jumping in the moment. It's all about frequency and the electrical charge within your body. Quote from Ra: as a mind-body-spirit complex consciously chooses the path of the adept, and with each energy balanced to a minimal degree, begins to open the indigo ray energy center, the so-called dreaming becomes most efficient tool for polarization. For if it is known by the adept that work may be done in consciousness, while the so-called conscious mind rests, this adept may call upon those which guide it, those presences which surround it, and most of all, the magical personality, which is the higher self, in space-time analog as it moves into the sleeping mode of consciousness, end quote. So yes, to an extent, you can control your dreams and what you dream. And once again, this is a generalized statement, but if you are opened in your crown chakra, this becomes a tool for you to use. And the questioner asks about the dreaming process. Ra replies, as for the mystic, it bridges metaphysical to physical for a small portion of space-time, which is helpful for healing and polarization. So back when this was written, the choice is still, it's getting really thin on what choice you're going to make. But before 2012, I believe that a lot of souls had the choice to change polarity. And consciously, unconsciously, you already made that choice with source, but you get to play down here in the playground on the stage, and you can choose to swap polarity. And I think a lot of what was going on is coming to that realization. And if you were headed in the wrong path, your higher self is going to lead you to the right path. And a lot of things are discovered in dreams and through dreams and the unconscious, subconscious state of mind, um, which is always recommended to write all recounts of dreams if one remembers. There's a lot he goes about in the generalization of dreams, which most people have a commentary knowledge state about. Um, I know when a lot of people have crazy dreams, they tend to tell me about them. And a lot of symbolism, like there's a lot of dream dictionaries, like what does this mean on a generalized scale? Like if a snake is running after you, or a dog, or you fall off a cliff, or you lose teeth and they shatter and break, like all these things do have meaning, but you have to apply it to your own self. We're all individualized. Symbols are different for other people. Like 1111 might mean one thing to someone and something else to another. Um, we have all a lot of commonalities in symbolism, but each of us are personalized, so it's going to mean something different for you. Um, it's a matter of perspective and perception. So I feel it was like I read a lot, but there wasn't much substance for me to really dive deep into any one particular topic. I think the energy exchange is important to note because you have an electromagnetic field, you have an auric field, and when you're around others, it can rub off on you if you're not very much well protected or taking care of your field itself. Um, why you should try to manifest yourself a pendulum to know where you are each day mentally. So when you're out and about in public, you know what you're projecting out in your field is positivity because that's what you're going to attract back. Um, and when you're in a relationship with somebody, that affects that other person as well. So you don't want to have makeup sex because that's not pure energy elevating. That's just getting your monkey mind and your animal body its pleasure. You got to take things on the different levels of 3D to 4D to 5D and mature your understanding of what the energy centers do. And in each density, they magnify itself. Um, just be wary about what you're putting out into your field because it will affect other people. And for a good example, if you go to a party and you're like the life of the party, the energy and the mood of the room changes because you walked in a great mood. You're like, yeah, I'm ready to party, right? You've seen this in your own personal lives when someone that you can't stand that is the death of a party, they walk into the room, the mood changes because everybody already knows that energy field is gloomy and shit. So these are just the things you could take apart and pluck together and analyze about your own self. When you walk into a room, how are people reacting to your field of energy? It's very important to know where you're at. And that's why a lot of gurus and spiritual people say live in the moment, because when you're dwelling on stuff and holding up energy in your field that isn't so great and you're not healing it, you're going to project it out. I'd rather be the life of the party and light up a room than be the gloom and doom person and wah wah, that person walked in the door. So I think energy exploration within self is very important to master. And that's a forever process, but I think it's good to start somewhere. Rod just tackles it in the sexual energy exchange because it's probably the easiest for most people to understand, but it could be in anything. It's important who you share your energy with and who you don't share your energy with. That's up to you because you're aware of it. And that energy transference does affect your dreams. That's why it's really a good idea to always cleanse yourself with Palo Santo, salt baths, and make sure that you're really doing the work to adjust your field as necessary and to work on your chakras. There's lots of guided meditations that will aid you in aligning your chakras and getting everything to move properly in the right speeds, getting everything on the right frequency so that when you're having those experiences with another self, you're elevated and you're healing and you're putting out good vibrations, not just, oh, I need pleasure. Yay. I don't know, just something to think about. Something to think about. Uh, yeah, I'm tired. Got a lot going on today. I also have a lot going on in my brain. Lots of things to process. But you can control your dreams. You just have to willfully like put it out there and say, I want to remember my dreams, or I need you to clarify things about my life. Can you send it to me in dreams? And your higher selves and all things will work with you. And that might not happen like that night. It will happen eventually, and it takes time to get those muscles working. And I also feel like the pre-veil to veil, I don't know. I think the veil is very important that we have self-discovery and self-exploration, and that I think helped Source understand itself better, that we forgot and that we didn't know what we were beforehand, so that we can really dive deep on stage in the theme we chose, playing a character like, what the fuck did I choose that for? And then come to find out it was like some big epiphany you're supposed to have, and you find it like 10 years after the fact. But it's still like, what? I think that stuff is pretty interesting to explore too. Right. Odin's in my corner by my copper pyramid. So hopefully, even though my copper pyramid isn't up, he's healing. I don't know what's wrong with him. He's miserable. I see it in his eyes. I got to figure that out. Hopefully Monday I can get to a bank and figure out if I can get an equity loan or something, or find another job. I've been looking again at jobs. This 3D shit needs to end. So I'm gonna cut it here. I hope you got something out of it. I hope it made sense. Um, it's worth reading for yourself. So go into getting the books. I'm just giving you my insights, my perception of it, my interpretation thereof. It might not be yours, but it's really the law of one is really important, I think, for most people to start comprehending. That being said, Sending each and every one of you love, light, compassion, grace, shielding, and protective energy. Please go within, be the shoulder, be the lighthouse, seed your truths, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the like, share if you're inclined to do so, and I have channel memberships, so please join me there. Lots of amazing perks incoming. And I hope to see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.